Hello, crypto people. My name is Joey. I'm part of the Chart Guys team. Been a full-time trader and analyst for 7 years, over 20,000 hours. You all know the preamble at this point. I'm here to talk about some crypto, talk about how Bitcoin's doing on its move off of those liquidation lows from a week and a half ago. And bulls are holding on well here. You know, the title of the stream is, are there any Bitcoin red flags? To spoil it, no, there's no red flags at this point, but we will talk about what would be a red flag and what are we looking for from here, because we got a scenario coming up that could easily trip some people up. So we'll get into that. We'll take a look at Ethereum, Sol, and we will do some requests. Let's get on into it and pull up these charts. So looking at Bitcoin here on the daily, and we've got our daily higher low set here at this point. So that is at 57,642. And the situation that I'm talking about in terms of kind of a bit of a pitfall that we could be seeing here is we know that typically bulls want to see a daily trend change to show follow through on the larger time frame move, or to initiate the larger time frame move and actually activate it, get it going. So if that were to happen from here, that would be bulls continuing to hold this 65 or 57.6K support and break through 62.7K resistance. That would be the daily uptrend. So sounds good, right? Well, we've got to be cautious because we know without increasing bull volume on this bounce that a weekly lower high compared to 70.1K is the most likely scenario. So when you get a trend change that takes place like above the 50% retrace of the previous move down, it is not uncommon at all to see that bull flag confirm and then not see follow through and come back down here. So got to be on the lookout for that. But it's not to say that bulls wouldn't certainly take that, because the more we bounce on this weekly time frame, the more space we have to try to form a weekly higher low next consolidation. So bulls will take it, but you just got to make sure that you're not going hog wild bullish on this resistance break without understanding that you may just be buying right into the weekly lower high. So that's what we've got going on with Bitcoin. Bigger picture, we know for holding monthly 12 EMA, it is still healthy. And we know that we're going to need to see a weekly trend change eventually if we want to be confident in a monthly higher low shaping up. We've seen strong weekly bounces, but a continued inability to actually get that trend change underway there. So let's zoom in a little bit more. Just hourly stair step here all morning and hourly consolidation underway here. Let's see what we've got. 15-minute 12 EMA support as well with that hourly stair step. If bulls hold 15-minute 12 EMA, then hourly consolidation is not going to see any follow through. If bears want to see follow through on hourly consolidation, they're going to need a 15-minute downtrend from here. So that's what we got going on in Bitcoin land. We'll look at Bitcoin dominance. So we are still holding our daily uptrend. Bears took out daily 12 EMA, but they would have to come back here on the dominance chart if we wanted to see some weekly consolidation play on out. So dominance bears could be hopeful for that, but at this point, if we're looking at like the 12-hour, bulls have bounced big enough to decrease the odds that bears would be able to do that on the 12-hour and get that weekly consolidation underway. And we know bigger picture, as long as 2-week 12 EMA support on Bitcoin dominance, then Bitcoin remains dominant in the space. So before we get into Ethereum, I do want to talk about something real quick. I think we were talking about it last stream. I'm sure we were, but this is just such an important concept that I want to go over it more clearly, is looking at the alts for clues. So this was August 9th, ultimately the day of our top, I think. If alts start consolidation, it'll increase the odds that others will follow. It's simple and sweet, but we see this happen all of the time. And then that next morning, August 10th, we were able to say like, all right, we've got handful of alts now that have started this consolidation, and then Ethereum followed, Bitcoin followed, the whole gang followed. So whether you're trading the alts or not, you want to be watching them for clues, and it's not anything super high tech or advanced. It's just if one name does something, it increases the odds that others will do the same. So that works both directions. So we'll be doing that as we scout the potential for weekly lower highs. Say Bitcoin bulls get the trend change, actually get the weekly bounce underway. If we start to see alts set weekly lower highs before Bitcoin, we know it will increase the odds that Bitcoin is going to follow with that. And many, many names are looking for weekly lower highs. So Great move off the liquidation lows, but we can't forget the larger time frame context of what we've got going on. So moving on to Ethereum, we know it's weaker than Bitcoin in a relative sense. We're well below these April and July lows, whereas Bitcoin is now well above those lows. So we remain weaker. That's on ETH BTC being weak. And we have a little bit of a lack of clarity here, though we know that daily 12 EMA is resistance, and we see that bears are playing some defense there. So as far as our trend, this is a little daily uptrend confirmed without follow through. And, at this point, we'd have to get daily consolidation underway to really say it doesn't lack, or that we're lacking follow through. But key support going to be 2509. That would need to be taken out to try to have this be a quick weekly lower high. If that were to happen, then odds increase of a weekly lower high shaping up. And very important here right now, I should have said this in the beginning, we've got CPI tomorrow morning at 8:30 Eastern. So that's going to play a role, certainly, in what we see here on these charts. So zooming in a bit more to Ethereum, 15-minute uptrend, and bulls trying to hold 12 EMA support there. If that's lost, we'll have some deeper hourly consolidation. Then anything over 2632 would be an hourly higher low. And we're just kind of chopping around at the highs here. Could probably draw a bit of a megaphone. Let's see how the drawing skills are today. Whoa. Dang it, that first line was good, but it got stuck. Let's try again. That's pretty decent. Yeah, kind of megaphony. It's not textbook, but higher highs, no follow through, lower lows, no follow through makes for a little bit of a lack of clarity. So at that point, that's when you just pick your support and resistance levels and don't fret about the trend quite as much, because if we don't have clarity, we don't want to feign clarity. And what we can say is that, like, if bears take out 2611, then that affirms more of a rejection from daily 12 EMA. If bears take out 2509, that increases the odds that a weekly lower high is shaping up. And as far as resistances, there's very little on the way up just because of how impulsive the move down was. And actually looking at this, we might be able to draw a bit of a rising wedge if, give me a second. What would this look like? We would probably need another higher high without follow through for this to be valid. Yeah, that's definitely worth keeping an eye on. That's worth keeping an eye on Ethereum here. And looking at this 4-hour rising wedge, that could easily set a weekly lower high if that were to break bear. And ETH BTC, which is running Ethereum, has gotten over daily 12 EMA for the first time in a few weeks here. And now the big question will be, can bulls confirm a daily uptrend to have Ethereum relative strength stick around a little bit, where we'd zoom out and then look for a weekly lower high? So looking into the 4-hour, bears with a little dinky 4-hour downtrend here. I don't really like designating pivots on outside bars, so we'll say they need to see another lower high and lower low. If we want to be confident in ETH BTC daily consolidation, then we'll look and see if bulls can pull off the trend change. All right, what else we got? Looking at Sol. So Sol, still just sideways at the highs, still holding monthly 12 EMA. Bulls hope that this is a big old monthly cup and handle. And if that's going to be the case, we've got to eventually reclaim a weekly uptrend. Got to eventually reclaim a weekly uptrend here. So to get a weekly bounce underway, got to get a daily uptrend. And it's going to be the same potential pitfall that we have on Bitcoin, where, cool, you get the daily trend change, but we know we're looking for a lower high on the weekly. If that's going to form, how much room do you really have to run after potentially breaking 163.70 resistance? But it is relatively weak here compared to Bitcoin. No daily higher low set yet. And we're seeing that with a decent number of alts. And that's, Bitcoin dominance bouncing is showing us that Bitcoin is stronger than peers here. So double daily inside bar needs to break bull to get the daily higher low set. And then it will be all about 163.70. Now let's talk about the scenario of, say we don't get these daily trend changes. Then that would be like 3-day lower highs shaping up, 2-day lower highs shaping up. If we were to basically come down below the low of this double bottom that we've got at the 141 area. Let's zoom in a little bit more. 4-hour EQ. So high, low, lower high, higher low, and bears trying to defend this 150.79. And if they do that, we'll continue to tighten up, and that range would need to break bull to get a daily higher low set, and we need to break bear to see that 2 or 3 day lower high set. What else we got? Let's look at CRV. So we know CRV got trashed on their founder getting liquidated or whatever it is, but at this point, very nice move off of the lows, break of weekly lower high resistance, and we'll look to see from here, can bulls regain a weekly uptrend, try to get a monthly bounce underway with follow through. We technically have it underway, but if we want the highest degree of confidence, we need the weekly trend change. And then we'd have a ton of room for a monthly lower high, looking to monthly 12 EMA for resistance. But from here, that's still another 56% away. So kind of keeping eyes on that. Sometimes you see these junkers get flushed out and then that's it. The lows are in for a while. So I don't know much about the fundamentals, but we've got a guy in the chat room here. Shout out to Ryzen, who is definitely sharp on the fundamentals and he has a pretty convincing case for some potential upside in CRV. Definitely think it's a tall order to try to get to new all-time highs or anything like that, but who's left to sell after the founder busts out? Apparently not too many people because it's been a really strong bounce off the lows. So daily uptrend guide for that weekly move, and let's see, hourly 12 EMA just now being lost. So that's some 4-hour consolidation trying to get underway. Got a little dinky support at 29.62. And something that would really tell us that bulls are thirsty for this name is if hourly oversold continues to get bought up. So this is not a move that creates a back burner, but when we hit hourly oversold, bulls snapped it up and rocketed. So as long as that's the case, we know that folks have got some interest in CRV here. So that's all I'm really looking at. Let's hop into chat, see how y'all are doing. What up, Sean, Ryan, Schoolboy, Omar, Karan, Bo Jenkins. Let's see. Mania wants to look at INJ. Let's check it out. INJ. So INJ, bulls trying to get a monthly bounce underway, trying to get a weekly bounce underway first. If they can break the high of last week, 1941, then anything below 2811 would be a weekly lower high. Got to regain a weekly uptrend if we're talking about a monthly bounce getting underway with some confidence. So looking into the daily here, technically still just a stair step off of the low. It'll be like a 12-hour higher high if bulls do get through that 1941. But despite having a red candle here, we didn't actually break the low of the previous candles at any point here. Or did we break it by a penny? We did break it by 2 pennies actually. So we'll call it that, because sometimes I will just not be such a stickler about like a few pennies and say like, oh, well, that's not a daily uptrend because we didn't actually get daily consolidation underway. I'll give it like the honorary uptrend. And I was considering doing that, but with 2 pennies, we'll just call it what it is. So that makes 1759 the most important support. If that's lost, that would be a 2 or 3 day lower high shaping on up. If bulls break 1941, that's the weekly bounce getting underway, and one of our stronger alts here up at the highs. So looking good. Let's see what INJ BTC is doing, if we get any clues from the ratio chart. So going to be a similar deal to the USD pairing, where we're looking for a weekly uptrend, looking for a monthly bounce, and the weekly bounce is already underway on INJ BTC. So that is a little point in favor for the USD pairing. And we can look at this as a big old falling wedge. Let's see. We can look at that as a big old falling wedge. And INJ USD bulls definitely want to see this ratio break out of the falling wedge. The ratios will lead the way for these alts very, very often. So you got to look at them for clues, just like we were using Sol BTC for clues last week to know that it was a good dip buyer. A good dip buyer. What up, Rachel? How you doing? 93 Mischief. Let's see, Elma. Look at Theta is the best AI coin right now. Best DCA prices now before 10x Theta. Okay, yeah, this isn't the place to pump your stuff. Thanks for tuning in, though. Tomato, Elma, again, hello. Yeah, we'll look at Theta, but at any time anybody's like, now's the time to get in before you're 10x, it's just like, you don't know that. Nobody knows that. Don't Nobody knows that, and the problem is that like a lot of people don't know that nobody knows that. So when people speak with confidence in this game, it's misleading because when you don't know what you're doing, you're going to be attracted to someone who's speaking with conviction and confidence. And the best traders I know all respect that they've got no clue what's going on. It's just about risk and reward and giving yourself a chance. So don't mean to grill you on that, but it's not helpful for anybody, including yourself, unless you're you're on payroll, getting paid to pump something. But let's get into the chart. So weekly bounce is underway by a skosh. Anything below 167 going to be a lower high, and like INJ, one of the stronger alts, up at the highs here. Daily trend change confirmed. That makes 110 the most important support. We got a lack of resistance on the way up, and if bulls can get a decent enough weekly bounce, they'll set themselves up to try for a weekly trend change to try to get a monthly bounce underway. We'll have a lot of room for a monthly lower high compared to 382 if that happens next, or when that happens next, whether it's, from here or down at 40 cents, who knows. But nice and clear. Weekly EMAs are cross bearish. That's historically a pretty good long-term signal, whether it be to the upside or to the downside. These ones cross bull, got a solid move up. We're now cross bear. Got to respect that. But we'll just go one step at a time. What bulls would love to see is a strong weekly bounce and then set up a weekly inverse head and shoulders. Left shoulder, head, right shoulder, something like that. All right. Yeah, we can look at MSTR, micro strategy. This is the first time I haven't called it monster instinctually. Let's see, what do we got going on MSTR? So pretty similar to Bitcoin, trying to hold monthly 12 EMA. As long as that's the case, it is a bull flag on the monthly time frame, and we're just pretty much sideways. Another kind of like a bit of a megaphony type look. We'll just take the inside bits of it, something like that. So a little bit of a lack of clarity there in that regard. But as far as its move up, decent initial day of the bounce and then just sideways. So bull's going to need to break the August 7th candle either to the upside, or bears are going to need to break it to the downside for us to have anything different going on. So if we break it to the upside, that'll be weekly bounce underway, and then we'll still be looking for a lower high compared to 183.70, and ultimately bulls need to regain a weekly uptrend if we want to be confident in monthly 12 EMA hold. If we break to the downside, it's going to be a 2-day or 3-day. No, just 2-day. Just 2-day lower high being set, and then bulls will have a lot of room for a higher low compared to 102.40. And that brings up a good point here, talking about, I said I'd say what would be the red flags on Bitcoin, and red flags would be increasing bear volume on consolidation or a greater than 50% retrace of this move up. So we haven't topped yet now by any means, but hypothetically, if we were to top here, 55.448 is the 0.5 retrace, that'd be a red flag if that's lost. If we go up and confirm the daily trend change and say reject from this value area high, then the key level would be 56.3K. So pull your fib, look at the 0.5 retrace, mark it off on your chart once we top out and say, okay, if we lose that, that's a red flag. If we have increasing bear volume on the way down, that's a red flag. Bulls have a lot of room for a 2-day higher low, 3-day higher low, but if that's not going to form, just like back here, you need increasing volume. And an additional red flag would be if alts start to just absolutely come undone or something like that. So that's what I'm looking out for. That is what I'm looking out for, because at the end of the day, the average pullback after a stair-step break from all-time highs is 32% when you remove a big 80% outlier from the data set. So we're halfway there to our historical average. So bulls are doing everything they need to see here, but not going to forget those statistics, and not going to forget historically what happens when the Fed pivots. So like a 30% bear market or 30% pullback in the traditional markets, the S&P 500, has happened after every pivot from a high inflation environment for the last 60 years. So we're projected to get our pivot in September. If the markets come undone, how's Bitcoin going to do? I would think it's going to correlate to it. That's where my money will be. So definitely open to whatever. If the Bitcoin maxis are going to see Bitcoin finally step in as a reserve currency or whatever, I'm open to it. And if that were to happen, we'll see volume, we'll see backburners hit, we'll see trends regained, all that good stuff. If we're going to see deeper pullback and say 6-month consolidation, we'll see the same thing. Trends, volume, all that. So definitely keeping my mind open to whatever. All right. Let's see. Tomato wants to know, does QQQ look healthy? Hourly uptrending? Yeah, QQQ looks fine. But similar to Bitcoin, we're looking for a weekly lower high. So weekly bounce is underway. We got a daily uptrend as our guide for the weekly bounce. Bulls are up here right at high of day, so they're doing fine. We got CPI tomorrow, and if we get a bullish reaction, I'll probably be starting to look for a weekly lower high, because I'm going to go with the thesis of the Fed pivot. I know, like, they typically keep the market strong into the election, but go back and look through the charts. It's not the way people talk about that, whatever trend. It's not that consistent. We've gone sideways into plenty of elections, and even pulled back into elections before. So I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about the statistically backed action in the markets when the Fed pivots. And if that is going to happen, then I think weekly lower highs are going to be good swing shorts on almost everything. So I'm going to load the boat short on weekly lower highs. So I'd love a bull reaction to CPI tomorrow morning. Basically, be able to do the same thing that I did here, because this was CPI as well, if I'm not mistaken, or it was something. Yeah, I think this was CPI. I sold off my NVDA long swing. I got in an NQ short. I definitely didn't hold it the whole way down. I mean, I ended up actually bungling it. We won't go into it. Some order entry errors. Big time bummer, but I'll be looking to do the same thing on a positive reaction if we get it. Let's see. Yeah, let's check out Undo for Doma. And then I'm going to have to wrap it up sooner than later. I got a Chart Guy stream coming up soon. So Undo is trying to get a weekly bounce underway like everybody else. We got a weekly downtrend. Anything below 113 would, is that right? 113? Yeah, 113 would be a weekly lower high. We're trying to shape up a monthly higher low. Definitely healthy monthly consolidation at this point. And if bulls want to get the weekly bounce underway, they need the daily uptrend. So that makes key resistance at 83 cents. And if we were to lose the low of yesterday, 71 cents, that would get a 2-day lower high shaping on up off of the 12 EMA. So just sideways here right now, need to break this 4-hour EQ to the upside to try and get that daily trend change. Let's see, Schoolboy says, how long did it take before you could speak Chart Guy's lingo fluently? I mean, fluently, probably 3 years or something like that, to start having it like make sense and be able to understand it clearly. Probably 6 months or something. Someone on Reddit, because I found Dan on Reddit through the all the MJ stuff, and someone in there just said, watch every Chart Guy's video you can find until what Dan's saying starts to make sense. So you start to understand the words, and that's just what I did. And then you can expedite your learning by doing stuff like, I mean, we've got thousands and thousands and thousands of videos on the YouTube channel. So before I even traded crypto, so this was like 2019, I went back and watched every Dan crypto video from the beginning of the 2017 run up through the end of the blow off top. So, hours and hours of videos, but it's like, how bad do you want it? And how much time are you able to dedicate to it? And since I was like in full-time education mode, of course, I'm going to do everything that I can to try to speed up that process. But yeah, to answer your question directly, probably 3 years of full-time work every day, never missing a stream. So yeah, takes a minute. I got to wrap things up, y'all. I'd love to stay in chat. Sorry I can't get through the rest of the requests there, but gotta do a stream in the Chart Guys. Nice, Rachel. It's a fun way to do it. You just watch Dan's videos. He's obviously pleasant to listen to, smart dude, and you just watch him and watch him and watch him, and then eventually when he's doing all this higher low, lower high mumbo jumbo, it starts to make sense. And then once it's starting to make sense, then you can like build off that and optimize. But you got to learn the lingo, got to learn the vernacular initially, or else then you're just kind of spinning your wheels. You can put in all this time into listening to Dan, but if you don't really understand what he's talking about, then he's just yet another guy on the internet giving indications of what could be going on. But the whole objective with this stuff and kind of the like ethos within the chart guys is we don't want to like hand out fish. We want to teach y'all how to fish. So thank you so much for spending some of your afternoon with me. I will see you Thursday. We'll check in, see how CPI ended up doing, and not going to get bamboozled if we get some weekly lower highs. Farewell. Have a good night.